Hello friends and welcome to another video. Today I'll be painting this adorable West Highland Terrier, or as most people know as a Westie. I thought it'd be fun this time to start off with painting the background and being really bold with this really bright yellow. I then decided to paint the darkest areas of the face, which included the eyes and the little nose. Westies are actually my personal favourite dog breed, so it was really a joy to start this painting. After painting the dark areas of the face, I realised that the background yellow wasn't really opaque enough to cover those really dark lines. So I went in with a lighter yellow mixed with white, as this covered the lines a little bit better. After I was happy with this, I started mixing burnt umber and yellow to create this light brown colour, which I covered the Westie in. It might seem a little bit strange as to why I decided to paint this Westie this light brown colour, but I promise there's a method behind it. The light brown colour was to emulate the shadows that I'd see in the Westie's fur, and I thought it would be much easier to paint the highlights of the fur on top of this. So while that light brown paint is still wet, I am just putting in some light strokes of white, paying attention to the direction that the fur is going in. I can't say this is a technique that I've used before, but as I was thinking through, I thought it might be a good way to add those shadows and add some depth to this little Westie. This is probably the stage that is most commonly quoted by artists as the ugly stage. This is usually the stage that artists also try to hide away from people, as we also have our own doubts at this stage whether it will turn out alright in the end and whether we'll be able to turn it around. But I do think it is important that us artists and myself are ready to share these stages of a piece, as it helps to normalise that pieces don't magically happen. There is a stage where maybe it doesn't look great, but that's just part of the process and we learn as we go. I learned a lot while doing this painting, and I did originally have my doubts, but once I was more confident with my technique, I added some darker areas and then also some details of shadows where I thought it needed it. This painting was particularly challenging as well due to its limited colour palette. As you can see, I'm mainly using light browns and yellows and whites. I found this painting particularly challenging in comparison to my other paintings. After reflecting why this was the case, I realised that it was to do with the lighting of the reference photo. If you look at the painting of the little Westie, you can see that the shadows are uniform throughout and there isn't that much variation. Yes, you can see shadows in the depth of the fur, but there isn't really much differentiation when you look from the right side of the Westie up until the left side of the Westie. Typically, when I pick reference photos, I try to look for dramatic lighting. This is often side lighting. And what I mean by that is the light is coming from one direction, which is the side. So one side of the face would be brighter and the other side would be in shadow. Side lighting in general is more effective with portraits, as it helps you to emphasize the emotion and depth of your subject in a more dramatic way. This is just a personal preference of mine, as I think it often adds to the interest of a painting, but also as a painter I find it a lot easier to make my subjects look a lot more three-dimensional by adding that dark shadow to one side and brighter highlights to the other. It makes it a lot easier to paint, that's for sure. However, it is good to challenge yourself sometimes and step out of the box. So in this particular instance, I am painting without side lighting. But in it, I learned not to rely on dramatic lighting and really just pay attention to these details. So right now I am darkening areas that need to be darkened to add some depth. Initially at this stage I thought I was done with the painting, but then I thought that the background wasn't really contrasting as much as I'd like it to. I actually forgot to record that part of the footage, but I decided to go with a darker contrast yellow ochre to complement this Westie. I think it's made the portrait really stand out in this way. It just goes to show how you may have a plan for your artwork, but it may not necessarily go the way that you thought it would. I hope you enjoyed my painting, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.